Here are 3 truths about relationships you might need to hear. Harsh truth number 1, love fades, but values don't. You like hot takes? Let's kick it off with one. We think that love is this big accomplishment, but you can probably relate. Falling in love is pretty darn easy. Just need the right circumstance, right time in life, right people, maybe the right amount of alcohol, and boom, love hits. It happens. That's why they call it falling in love. It just happens to you. Fall into it. So now you just fell into some money. Yeah, you just fell into lucky circumstances. Take another angle. Look at some shows. Reality TV. Got Love is Blind on Netflix. Got The Bachelor. And week 1, week 2, what are they saying? I've never felt this way before. I'm so convinced that this is love. Why does it seem that these soap operas follow a similar narrative? Steamy romance, head over heels, helicopter dates in New Zealand with a picnic on a mountaintop, and then literally a month or 2 later you'll see them in the tabloids. It's all falling apart. Maybe you can relate, but I think it's fair to say that most of us have probably been in love with someone that we're not compatible with at a certain time in our life. That's probably why it didn't work out. Or you've seen other friends or family members, they're in love with someone who's totally wrong for them. You're like, red flag, red flag, red flag, because you're an objective party looking in on their subjective experience. And they feel that that feeling is true, so it is to them. That's because love and compatibility are 2 different things. Let's break this down even further. Full credit, this comes out of Jonathan Haidt's amazing book, The Happiness Hypothesis, in where he says there's not one type of love, but 2. Now imagine your relationship map. At the bottom, we have time, let's say 6 months. On the left, we have your passion level of intensity in the relationship. The first type of love is what we've been talking about, that steamy romance, also known as passionate love. You're obsessed with that person. They're all you think about. Head over heels, nothing else matters. Passionate love ignites, burns, and can often reach peak intensity within a couple weeks, even a month, before this roller coaster of ups and downs, eventually fizzling away. One crazy fact to note here is that passionate state of love that feels so fun, that feels like borderline addictive. There's a good reason it feels borderline addictive. It's because it occupies the same parts of your brain that light up with hard drugs. No wonder it's addictive. Oftentimes people become addicted to this first type of love. Then when the passionate love fizzles out, they have to go to a new person to repeat the same process and get that same rush. Love bombing, toxic relationships, ring a bell? What about that second type of love? This is compatible love. It's what builds when you're super compatible with same values, same lifestyle goals, connect on a deep level. You might be asking, well, Clark, this looks kind of boring. For my next trick, I'd like to flip the charts out from 6 months to 60 years. You'll notice the passionate love struggles to hang on. Those relationships always compare to the first 6 months when they were dating, about how they can never get back to that peak. And if you're truly compatible with someone, that love is going to fade. Because love will fade, compatibility, values. Hard truth number 2, your ex is dead to you, and no, you can't just be friends. Let's kick it off with another hot take. I don't believe that you should or can be friends with an ex. I'd go even one step further to say that it's disrespectful not only to your next relationship, but to yourself to try. And it's okay to have boundaries. You know, I've seen this in conversations with clients. They'll go something along the lines of, you know, I just can't get over my ex. Someone I went on a few dates with, I met her on Hinge. Well, now I'm in a relationship and she's still in my head. I can't let go. Okay, well, are you still in contact with them? No, we don't talk. We don't hang out. Well, what about social media? Oh, yeah, you know, I follow her, but, you know, and I'll see her posts. Boom, there you go. And just listen to that language. I'm liking their posts. Ooh, I like that a lot. I'm following her. Dun, 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 dun. No wonder you can't move on. It's like not wanting to think of the pink elephant, but you've put up wallpaper in your room that's laced with pink elephants. Here's the hot take. If you're following any of your exes and you're wondering, like, why can't you move on? You need to unfollow them right now. Subconsciously, people's mindset of why they follow their ex might be a safety net to go back to if this doesn't work out. They might not even realize consciously that that's what it is. It's like a fear mechanism or a backup plan. But think about that, how it prevents you from being all in a relationship. Like, if you really, really give your all and you put it all out on the line, and you give all of yourself without holding back, the other person has to do the same, or they don't, and you leave and you go find someone that will. There's no going back once you walk through that one-way door of a relationship. There's always going to be one person, usually on the side, that it means a little more to them than the other, or they're going to treat you different, and that's going to cause issues. And then what you'll find is even people, what I've seen, that try to be friends, Well, as soon as one of them gets in a relationship, that friendship, you realize it wasn't so platonic, and they get all feelings of jealousy, or they want to know all the details, and the boundaries are messy, and it's a blur. It hurts you more in the long run than if you just had a clean break because of boundaries that you set. On a personal note, I take my own advice here. I'm not friends with or in contact with any of my exes. And they're not bad people. Our relationship didn't end with throwing plates and here's your stuff out a second story window. Nothing like that. It was a very civil, clean break, but I don't know where they work. I don't know what they do. I don't know where they live, and that's okay. It's okay to set boundaries and have those for yourself. Friendship doesn't really have a place. I know there's someone typing a comment right now saying, "Oh, what do you mean your ex is dead to you? That's so harsh. My parents made it work and they're still friends to this day." Great, congrats. And if there's kids involved, it's a little messier. Giving advice to the 95% of people, so this isn't absolute. Yes, there's exceptions, but I think as a general rule, it's pretty solid to say that there's 3.5 billion other men or women in the world for you to be friends with. You can't tell me that one person is the difference between life and death for you. And if it is, and you really can't live without it, then they probably shouldn't be your ex. Hard truth number 3, your partner is allowed to be an asshole. I heard a really good piece of advice the other day, and it's a zinger that you'll want to write down. We expect others to be a finished product, while we give ourselves the grace to be a work in progress. It's unfair for us to expect that our partner never messes up, because we mess up. It's unfair to hold your partner to standards that you don't hold yourself to. It's unfair to get mad about your partner fighting with you if you're also causing fights. We all make mistakes. We're all works in progress, every single one of us. But if you know anything about cognitive biases and how we judge ourselves, there's a study on unconscious overclaiming, meaning that we see our own actions, but we don't always value the actions of others. And when husbands and wives were getting surveyed on the amount of household chores they did, so, oh yeah, I do the dishes, clean the room, oh, how much do you think you did? The total always came out to over 120%. Something's not adding up there. You might think you clean the house more. You might think you always take care of the dog more. You might think you always do the dishes more. And this is normal because you're the one doing it. So of course it's right there in front of you and you can see it all. It's very clear. Sometimes people will say, well, we fight so much. Is there any roommate that you haven't fought with? Is there any family member that you haven't fought with? Is there anyone that you've lived with in your life or spent that amount of time 24/7, 365 that you haven't had a single fight with? No. So it's not if you fight, but it's how you fight. I was listening to a Jordan Peterson talk on relationships, on fighting, on what makes them good. Very well-spoken guy. He was talking about the myth of, well, they lived happily ever after. And how that's not what you really want. You want someone to contend with, to push you to be at your best. You want someone to challenge you. That's how you grow. On a personal note, some of the deepest self-improvement work I've ever done has come through being in a relationship. Especially, my current girlfriend. I've been humbled how selfish I can be, how I can be an asshole at times, how I can be impatient. It's a mirror that really reflects the shadow side of you. We talk a lot about shadow work. Well, just get in a relationship and that'll show you a ton of shadow. From a masculine perspective, women are amazing teachers, and it gives color to a lot of what I see as black and white through my masculine binary frame. I've learned so much about the other perspective of how the feminine sees the world. So what's the point there? That old self-development saying that anytime you point the finger, you got 3 pointing back at you. If you're going somewhere to get something, expect the same energy back that someone else is trying to get. What that does is turns your relationship into a zero-sum game or 0-0 game, because neither of you have the thing you want. Osho says, like two beggars looking for love, you'll be going and looking for the other person, but you can't find it because neither of you have it. Instead of fighting for the thing you want, oh, well, you said this that one time, and oh, you always do this, or you never do this, or it's your turn to do this, and then the fighting leads to more fighting, which is frustration. Give to get. You want love, give love, because what are you experiencing in that moment? The thing you want, which is love. You want laughter, give laughter. What are you experiencing? Laughter. You want adventure, plan the adventure, because what happens? You get to go on the adventure. So becoming the person that you would want to date, and knowing that your partner is allowed, just like you're allowed, to have the grace to evolve. Your partner is allowed to be an asshole too. Becoming the person you want to date is also raising yourself up so that it forces the other person to raise up and level up at the same time. Because you attract what you are, not what you want. 10s attract 10s. Becoming the best version of you, the 10 version of you. That's what it's all about.